If you want to become a better leader of tomorrow, please subscribe Raj Shamani Clips channel, because here we get you the most insightful clips on leadership.
In the battle of technology, where do you see India standing in front of US, China, UK, Japan? Where do you see we standing? Because all the new technologies that we think of, it's coming from America, right? Microsoft of the world, Google's of the world, Amazon, Apple, they're killing it. They have their own thing, and there are open source communities. A random coder who comes up with something and nobody knew who this Sam Altman guy was, and then in 5 years he's the most important person in the world, right? They're all coming from America. Then you have China.
Yeah.
They're absolutely good at what they do for all the good reasons or bad reasons. I don't want to argue on that, but they have TikTok, they have like Alibaba, they have Tencent. Like the way they've built things, their ability to make sticky products is crazy. Maybe they're the second ones in the market or the third ones in the market, but the way they make it faster, they make it cheaper, and then they make it stickier. All their products, like all the apps that got banned during the pandemic also, they were stickier, way more stickier than any other Indian app or any other American app. So they have their own game. Japan people feel they are in their own world.
Yes.
Japan is way ahead of the curve, and they have their own world inside rooms. Like every room is building some other robot, some other thing, and they're like rumored videos which keeps going viral on LinkedIn of Japan, or there is this new technology which is coming up. I saw that there was this phone, somebody built it, which has drones on it, and it, like as you walk, it just captures you. So the phone is walking with you, so you don't have to touch the phone. It records you automatically. If there's a FaceTime, it comes out in front of you. I mean, what's happening in Japan, it's crazy, right? What do you think, where do India stands?
India, this is probably the most important question that you asked today. India's big success has come from the India's tech stack, which we have created, the DPI stack, which is Aadhaar, on the digital payments, etc. We are absolutely leading the world from a fintech adoption and the UPI adoption in our country. So we have I think the power of that is the government taking a role and saying, I will publish standards, I will publish a protocol or a framework, and all of you players will come and use the framework and make it interoperable. And by that, we'll make it truly democratized. I think that is something that India has done phenomenally well. India is being touted as a phenomenal example across the world because of this. So we have our own moment in the sun with that. Having said that...
But that's only UPI, that's one thing.
Yes. It is one thing. It is one thing, but it's a big thing. It's a big thing. It is democratizing. If an auto rickshaw wala can do a 5 rupee transaction or 20 rupee transaction, and a beggar can take 10 rupees from UPI, I think it's something that has truly touched India in a very significant way. And then if you look at vaccinations, or if you look at our ability to direct benefit transfer, there are a bunch of these open tech that we have created in India, which are really game changing, global in nature, in a global scope in nature. India is now spreading these technologies around the world. We are helping multiple other countries in the world in adopting something like this. India is seen as a model for that. So I think that's our power. Now come to AI. I think India is in a very tough spot. First, because the IT industry in India has a big threat ahead of itself. Because if coding is automated, right? So if you look at coding, development of coding, writing code, 30% improvement can happen because you use coding assistants. So you need 30% fewer people to do the same work, right? So coding, you can comment and you can create a code, or you can ask a question, you can create a code, or you can write some code and expand it. There are multiple ways which you can write code. You can debug code, right? You write a piece of code, it'll find all the flaws and fix it. And so 20-30% time improvement in that too. Then test cases, right? Where you write a piece of code and say, what are the test cases I should create? It creates that. AI creates that automatically for you. Testers no longer have a really viable career in the future in unit testing, right? So then documentation, you write code, documentation, it can automatically produce it, describe what the code is doing in a much better way than human beings and especially busy coders can do. So all these ways, productivity of tech or writing code is dramatically going to improve. 30, 40, maybe 50%, compound over 2-3 years. It means that we need very much fewer people. So India's big service industry, the IT service industry, 10% of our economy could, if not handled well, could shrink. Or the workforce dependent, it may still grow, but the number of people required may come down. It will have huge implications for India. And then India is producing 100 million new people added to the workforce by 2030. Where are the jobs for them? So if AI becomes extremely powerful and goes, and India is not able to control that, what should India do in terms of protecting and preparing our country for the future? And there I feel that first thing India has to do is to recognize that this is such a vital geostrategic moment that we must act now with a decisive force, with a lot of money, and government taking some proactive big action. One of those actions that at least I've been championing is that maybe we can bring in 10 Indian companies, so to speak, right? Startups, big companies, small companies. Fractal is happy to be one of the 10. Each of us brings in $10 million, right? We create $100 million fund, right? Maybe government could put another 100 or $200 million. We create this big fund and say, and tell the whole world, advertise to the whole world, India is building its own foundation models, is going to build this breakthrough new AI. Any of you are interested in wanting to contribute to the country, the best talent in the world, that's for Google, Microsoft, come, we'll hire the first 100 amazing people in this project, and then build out India's defense, strategic defense in AI, right? And that I think could leapfrog India and make India ready for leading the AI revolution in the world. If we can't do that, India can easily do that. And I think India has the best talent in the world to make this happen. We have all the American companies that are building AI. Indians are working for it, right? Yeah. 1 in 3 AI professionals is Indian. Like India is already producing a lot of papers in AI, but the high quality research added with all the computational computational workload that we need, that kind of money, it requires $400 million of capital, which we can provide with India. $300 million is nothing for India. Yeah. Even $1 billion or even $5 billion is nothing for India. If you provide that kind of capital, if you bring in like-minded companies together and say truly open AI. Open AI is now a closed system, but truly open AI for India and lead the world. I think we have a real shot at winning this race for AI. And like Vladimir Putin said, whoever wins the race for AI is going to control the world. India, at the very least, has to be in a competitive position vis-a-vis other countries.
That's a very interesting take and a very interesting opinion. I feel if you are able to implement that quickly, I don't feel that India has a problem of going fast and going hard. I think we are one of the fastest and the hardest people if we are actually given full freedom to go to.
Yes.
Because that's what we did in UPI, that's what we did with other technologies. We leapfrogged everything, right? I think we can do that. This 100 million, 200 million, $500 million, whatever the fund size is, I think this makes a lot of sense. Right now, who do you think is most suited or is ahead in the race to get a win over AI?
I think it's certainly United States. It was always US. There's Canada, Israel, UK, China, multiple countries were in play. India also is one of the players. But I think with the latest technological enhancements, US is significantly ahead of rest of the world. And these are all strategically American companies which will not necessarily give this technology to other countries. If the US government says it's too powerful, don't give it to another country, they will abide by that because they're fundamentally American companies. One example I will give you. NVIDIA, which is a most important player in this space, they produce the GPUs. They created A100s, and then they've created H100s, which are very powerful graphical processing units, which are super crucial. Without that, nobody can build the next level of AI, right? Something like that is required. US government actually put a ban on exporting the H100 chips to China. They've already done that. So it's entirely possible that next is something called P100 or something, and they say it's so powerful that US wants to keep it to and not give it to anybody else in the world, and then they win the race for AI because they have the hardware, they have the computational workloads. So India needs to certainly get into those alliances, maybe have a chat with NVIDIA and companies like that and say, we will create our own computational infrastructure. We'll bring these companies, we'll build India's foundation models, and we'll really fight the battle for India's AI. Because no Indian company in itself is powerful enough, maybe with the exception of the Ambanis and the Adanis, that nobody is powerful enough or has the investment appetite to create this.
Yeah, and US is a very capitalist country in ideology. They believe in that. So anything which they believe is going to take their country ahead in game, they're going to put their capitalist brains on and not going to think about social service and helping the world around.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for watching this clip till the end. Please subscribe to Raj Shamani Clips channel to become a better leader for tomorrow.